Creative Commons Scotland works within the creative industry sector in Scotland to encourage and support organisations like the Lyceum in Edinburgh, where we are today, become more environmentally sustainable.
What we've discovered in workshops with arts organisations is that it's quite easy to measure energy and water and so on, but the really tricky thing is travel, because there's lots of different sources of information, expenses claims, invoices, credit card, petty cash and so on, and the travel is spread over all of these. So what we needed to do was bring it all into one place where somebody could put it all together and know what was being spent and the carbon that was being emitted because of all that business travel.
Following an award from National Digital Development Programme Ambition Scotland's Sustainable Ambition Fund, Creative Commons Scotland's developed a cloud-based digital tool which aims to support creative enterprises achieve a reduction of their carbon footprints as well as their travel bills.
The clever thing about a digital tool is you can have any number of users, you can have any number of sources of information, and the back end, the digital bit, will put them all together, collate the information so that somebody in finance or accounts or wherever it needs to be can have all the information in one place, which is easy to handle.
claimexpensescom makes life easier for everyone involved in the expenses claim process and captures the details creative enterprises need to reduce the cost and carbon impact of their business travel. This unique tool for simpler expenses and lower carbon is being developed especially for Creative Commons Scotland and the cultural sector.
We had some experience already of what people needed, but we needed to check up. So we ran 2 or 3 workshops where we were asking people what they thought what would help them work out their business travel. We were also working with a developer who used to be the general manager of an arts organisation. So he was very clear about what an arts organisation needs and the processes they use. Put the two together and we had a really robust system. What we did then is, after a while, when he'd been developing the project, we tested it again with users, and we've done that at least a 3rd or possibly a 4th time.
claimexpensescom overcomes one major problem for us, which was the collection of carbon data. Previously, it'd been down to one colleague who was sifting through Excel spreadsheets, collecting that manually. The information in those spreadsheets was inconsistent. The tool solves that problem. It's much easier to collect the data, and it's consistent data, so we get a much more accurate picture of our carbon usage.
From the perspective of the organisation, it captures the data in a sort of standardised format. At the moment it is coming through in various ways: invoices, expense claims, credit card statements, etc.
Online at claimexpensescom, staff and freelancers of creative industries businesses submit and track expenses claims on a simple online form. Trip distances and mileage payments are calculated automatically. Users can track their submitted claims as they wait for payment. Freelancers can use a single login to submit expenses for all their clients.
We're actually making it easier for people to generate expenses claims. At the moment, people scrabble around with bits of paper with an Excel spreadsheet on, so we offer you the opportunity to do it digitally. And it's a simple system, so anybody can use it. It's not absolutely essential that the Lyceum uses the same one as the film festival Birds of Paradise Theatre Company, but actually what it is, it's a really good system that almost any organisation can use.
Finance staff processing expenses can easily track outstanding claims, flag claims that need more information, and mark claims as paid. The system checks budget, project and VAT details as the user submits claims. There's much less scope for user error than on a paper or Excel-based system.
In terms of colleagues within the organisation using the new tool, I think they will see from that how the travel is impacting on the environment, what they're doing. And at the moment, I think there's a lot of myths with train travel versus plane travel, planes being cheaper, which I don't personally see anyway, but I think with carbon footprinting, it will become more obvious to my colleagues the decisions they're taking in that area, and hopefully they then revisit those decisions into the future.
There are 2 really good benefits to this. One is it incentivises people to complete their expenses claim, which is something that people leave for hours and weeks and months and they never get done. And secondly, the really good thing is it calculates the distances that people travel, which I think is really hard to do. So you put in your starting point and your end point, the machine calculates how far you've travelled. And with different modes of transport, it'll calculate different amounts of carbon emissions respectively.
We've implemented the tool after a couple of weeks of testing. We decided at a staff meeting to tell our team that this would be the only way that we would collect expenses data from now on. We sent out an email to everybody with clear steps and screen grabs of the tool so that they could have just familiarise themselves with it, then they could go onto the site and register. And I think by saying that this is the only way that we will accept our expenses, it just forces people to use this route, which is easier for us, and we can just manage any questions that come up from this process.
Detailed data on the cost, distance and carbon impact of business travel, broken down by project and budget, allows everyone, users and management, to understand where and how carbon and cost savings can be made across business travel. For organisations volunteering or under legislation to report carbon impacts, the system provides all the business travel data required by reporting systems.
Creative Scotland in particular, the arts body in Scotland, is now asking for environmental information in their application forms. At the moment it's a sort of broad-based strategy, structure, etc., but will increasingly lead to actual data capture, which for utilities and recycling and waste, etc., is fairly straightforward at the moment, but for travel, very, very difficult, certainly for my organisation and probably for similar organisations. City of Edinburgh Council is another funder. I expect them to follow along the same route, and even private funders, corporate sponsors, trusts, etc. More and more people are asking, what are you doing for the environment? How are you impacting? Can you quantify it? Can you measure it? So increasingly important for us to continue our income generation to be able to do this sort of thing.
This is really easy for our staff to use. We can also then provide our funders with this information of our carbon impacts. And most importantly, I think this ties into our the strategy that we have going forward. Also allows us to examine our own behaviour, and we can then set targets for ourselves, whether that be a reduction in carbon, whether it be reduction in costs that we spend on certain things. It gives us a lot of options to look at our behaviour as an organisation.
We're beta testing the tool at the moment, and it's going very well. People are really beginning to use it. What I hope is that we can roll it out very widely once we've got all the glitches sorted out with the arts organisations. And I have a little glimmer of hope in the background that it might be a commercial product in the future.